AI-assisted development tools and workflows. The honeymoon phase of AI-assisted coding appears to be ending, replaced by something more pragmatic and arguably more useful: a clear-eyed assessment of what these tools can and cannot do. A lively discussion on Reddit's ChatGPT coding community crystallized this shift, with developers noting that vibe coding, the practice of loosely directing AI to generate code, has simply become coding. The top-rated comment referenced a 2016 comic about AI programming that remains perfectly relevant, suggesting the fundamental challenge of specifying what you want a computer to do hasn't changed. Only the tools have evolved. The discussion revealed two competing approaches to making AI coding productive. The first requires being an expert at knowing what the AI needs, but as one commenter noted, you need to have all the specs in your mind, which quickly gets impossible, and you need to know the model really well. But even then, they're not deterministic, so you never really know. The second approach involves comprehensive test suites that describe system behavior, essentially writing detailed specifications anyway. The uncomfortable prediction: the amount of brainpower required will increase and not decrease, but will produce more and more complex things. Some of the sharpest criticism targeted the Twitter ecosystem of AI coding enthusiasts. One commenter's sarcasm cut deep. All the elite founders that never ship anything on Twitter are using 10 concurrent Ralph instances. You don't even need to read the code anymore. The exceptions where this approach fails: anything other than web dev with any sort of uptime agreement, web dev supporting critical life-impacting industries like medical, really any sort of product that people expect to open and use reliably. The response: took me a moment to realize this is sarcasm. That makes me sad. Speaks volumes about how blurred the line between genuine AI hype and parody has become. The dangers of over-trusting AI-generated code materialized in a concrete example from Niels Provos, who documented 3 rounds of corrections needed to secure a single API route. Claude Code initially created a route that bypassed the authenticated Express wrapper entirely. No authentication, no rate limiting, just a raw Express route wide open to the internet. After correction, it used the wrapper but without rate limiting. Only after explicit instruction did it apply rate limiting, but still with flawed implementation. The takeaway: AI assistants don't develop intuition about security implications without explicit, repeated guidance. Meanwhile, enterprise teams are developing more sophisticated approaches. One LinkedIn post described Bazel Code, an agentic coding system that operates on build graphs, performs blast radius analysis via RDEPS queries before touching code, and creates proof bundles with Git diffs, test results, and impact analysis, like a lawyer's brief for every change. Claude Flow takes a different approach, implementing a long-horizon governance system with cryptographic proof chains, memory write protection, and automatic rule evolution, claiming to enable agents to operate for days instead of minutes through enforced constraints rather than hopeful prompting. The proliferation of AI-generated pull requests has sparked a counter-movement. A new tool called Git AI tracks AI code contributions line by line through the entire Git workflow, preserving generating prompts and model information. The motivation is practical. Some open-source projects have publicly banned AI contributions, while others might accept them if they could codify an allowable percentage done by AI in each pull request. As one developer noted, what was tabbed in by Cursor at 3 a.m. 6 months ago could be a part of today's refactor, and knowing which code came from where matters for maintenance and review. Open weight model releases and capabilities. The reinforcement learning approach that powered DeepSeek's coding breakthroughs continues spreading through the open weight ecosystem. Nous Research released NouScoder 14b, a competitive programming model post-trained on Qwen 14b via RL, achieving 67.87% pass-at-1 on LiveCode Bench v6, a 7.08% improvement over the base model's 60.79%. The training required just 24,000 verifiable coding problems processed on 48 B200 GPUs over 4 days, demonstrating that meaningful capability gains remain achievable with relatively modest resources. The acknowledgements specifically thanked Together AI and Agentica for their immensely helpful blog posts on DeepCoder 14b, highlighting how openly shared knowledge accelerates the field. Diffusion-based language models, an alternative architecture to the autoregressive approach dominating current LLMs, are beginning to emerge for practical use. ByteDance released Stable Diffcoder 8B Instruct, a diffusion text coding model that generated immediate interest on local MA. However, the 8192 context length constraint prompted skepticism. They better come with agentic tooling that supports this model then. Commenters noted the architecture's potential strength for fill-in-the-middle FIM tasks, but observed that for agentic coding, usually 65K, 131K is where the magic is. Tencent's U2VL4B Instruct takes a different architectural approach for vision language tasks, introducing Vision Language Unified Autoregressive Supervision, VLS, that treats image and text tokens with equivalent status. Rather than using vision features only as inputs, it expands the text lexicon into a unified multimodal vocabulary through a learned visual codebook, turning visual signals into autoregressive supervision targets. The 4B parameter model handles vision-centric tasks, including grounding, segmentation, and depth estimation within a standard VLM architecture. No task-specific modules required. AI agent development and optimization. Token efficiency has become a critical bottleneck for AI agents working with large code bases, and a new tool called MQ aims to address this directly. The creator, working with multiple Claude Max subscriptions, found weekly context limits burning through within days because most of it was agents reading entire files when they only needed one section. The solution, a JQ-style query language for documents that exposes structure and lets agents selectively extract what they need. Testing on LangChain documentation showed dramatic results. A query that previously consumed 147K tokens dropped to 24K, an 83% reduction. The tool handles Markdown, HTML, PDF, JSON, and YAML as a single binary with no vector database, embeddings, or API calls required. The underlying philosophy challenges current assumptions about agent architecture. As the creator put it, RAG is overkill for a lot of small-scale agent workflows. Rather than building complex retrieval pipelines, sometimes the right answer is simply letting agents see document structure and pull specific sections. The tool is designed to work with existing agentic workflows, Claude Code, Codex, Cursor, as a drop-in addition that agents can pipe into like any Unix utility. The challenge of verifying whether AI agents actually complete tasks rather than generating confident-sounding outputs is receiving serious attention. The latest agentic QE fleet releases implement machine-verified trust tiers that categorize every skill by verification level. Tier 3, verified, requires 5+ test cases passing consistently with PR blocking on validation failure. Tier 2, validated, uses executable validators. Tier 1, structured, ensures JSON schema compliance. Tier 0, advisory, provides guidance only with human review expected. The goal is transparency. If you're running a security scan before deployment, you should know whether that skill has been through rigorous validation or just has a nice README. For teams building agent skills from existing documentation, a new VS Code extension and Go CLI tool can convert documentation websites into Markdown skills optimized for AI agents, handling recursive crawling, clean Markdown conversion, and front matter with original URLs and dates. Speech and audio AI technologies. Microsoft released Vibe Voice ASR, addressing a long-standing gap in speech-to-text capabilities, integrated speaker diarization. The model handles 60-minute long-form audio in a single pass, generating structured transcriptions that identify who is speaking, speaker, when they're speaking, timestamps, and what they're saying, content. It supports customized hot words in over 50 languages, making it particularly useful for meeting transcription, interview processing, and podcast production where speaker attribution matters. The release represents a meaningful consolidation of capabilities that previously required separate pipelines, running speech recognition followed by a distinct diarization model, then merging results. Having these unified in a single model simplifies deployment and reduces error propagation between stages. For the local Llama community, which has long sought capable local alternatives to cloud transcription services, this fills an important niche. The practical implications extend beyond convenience. Integrated diarization with timestamps enables downstream applications like searchable meeting archives, speaker-attributed summaries, and compliance recording systems that need to track individual participants. AI infrastructure and platform reliability. Gary Marcus published a pointed critique of OpenClaw, formerly Moltbot, the cascade of LLM agents that has become wildly popular along with Moltbook, its social network for AI agents. Marcus draws direct parallels to AutoGPT, which he warned about in his 2023 Senate testimony. With direct access to the internet, the ability to write source code, and increased powers of automation, this may well have drastic and difficult-to-predict security consequences. AutoGPT died quickly due to a tendency to get stuck in loops, hallucinate information, and incur high operational costs. OpenClaw, Marcus argues, is poised to cause more damage simply because more people found out about it more quickly. The concerns aren't theoretical. Moltbook reportedly grew from 157,000 users to over 770,000 active agents, with bots exhibiting complex social behaviors, including forming subcommunities, economic exchanges, and inventing new terminology. While fascinating as an experiment, the platform represents autonomous agents with internet access operating at scale, precisely the scenario that concerned AI safety researchers years ago. Marcus notes that while these systems offer the promise of insane power, that power comes at a price that may not be apparent until significant damage occurs. Meanwhile, production reliability issues plague even established platforms. An Ollama Cloud user documented catastrophic failure rates, 29.7% of requests failing, with one session experiencing 508 consecutive 429 errors in 40 minutes. The pattern repeated across sessions. Approximately 30 requests succeed, then the server returns 500 errors, and all subsequent requests fail. Support tickets went unanswered for 2 weeks. An Ollama representative eventually responded on Reddit, acknowledging the experience as very unacceptable and issuing a 3-month refund. Though, as one commenter noted, "I would say this is great customer service, if not for ignoring their tickets for 2 weeks." Edge deployment scenarios raise additional questions about agent reliability and security, with practitioners seeking guidance on hardening always-on agents, managing secrets without full Vault KMS infrastructure, and sandboxing skills that execute commands. AI evaluation and standards. The proliferation of AI benchmarks has created its own problem, knowing which benchmarks matter for which use cases. A community effort to compile a comprehensive, categorized list of AI LLM benchmarks and leaderboards addresses this gap, though the sheer volume of links triggered Reddit's anti-spam filters, requiring the author to post the full list in comments. The existence of such compilation efforts highlights both the maturity of the evaluation ecosystem and its fragmentation. No single benchmark captures model capabilities, and navigating dozens of specialized leaderboards requires its own expertise. On the regulatory side, Parantine 282 entered its final stage toward becoming the official EU AI Act security standard. Rob van der Veer, co-editor of the standard and liaison to the OWASP AI Exchange, clarified the relationship with ISO 42001. "I highly recommend 42001 for managing AI, but it was never designed for regulatory compliance." ISO 42001 was rejected by the EU's Joint Research Centre for this reason. The new standard, developed since August 2023, incorporates 70 pages of comments from the AI Exchange and provides what 42001 doesn't: specific normative requirements for AI security that can establish presumption of conformity for high-risk AI systems targeting the EU. After public inquiry and comment resolution, publication is expected shortly after summer. Development tools and security. The pre-commit framework, a staple of modern development workflows for running hooks that validate code before commits, gets a Rust-based challenger. Prec is a reimagined version designed as a faster, dependency-free drop-in alternative. Key improvements include no Python or other runtime requirements, significantly faster execution, built-in monorepo support, integration with UV for Python environment management, and improved toolchain installations that are shared between hooks. The project is already powering real-world codebases including UV and Rough, with adoption growing. While some language support remains incomplete for full parity with the original pre-commit, the core value proposition, a single binary that runs existing .precommit config.yaml files faster, addresses a genuine pain point for teams tired of managing Python environments just to run their commit hooks. For teams concerned about what their AI coding agents are actually doing, Griff provides a local-first audit trail. The tool hooks into agents like Claude Code, Cursor, and Gemini CLI, logging every action to a local SQLite database with querying capabilities for review and debugging. Users can see exactly which files were read and written, what commands were executed, and replay sessions to understand failures. The security model keeps all data local with no cloud or telemetry, important for enterprises that want observability into agent behavior without shipping sensitive code information externally. Queries can filter by file, action type, time range, or session, with options to show file diffs for write events. 3D AI and specialized applications. Researchers introduced FunHI, a training-free framework for generating 3D humans that functionally interact with 3D scenes based on open vocabulary task prompts. The key distinction lies in functional interactions versus general ones. While existing methods handle sitting on a sofa, real-world tasks often require identifying and manipulating specific functional elements. Open the window requires locating the handle. Increase the room temperature requires finding the thermostat knob. This capability matters for embodied AI, robotics, and interactive content creation, where agents must reason about object functionality rather than just spatial relationships. The framework addresses a fundamental scaling challenge in human-scene interaction research. Existing approaches typically learn from paired interaction data, but this creates a chicken and egg problem. You need extensive datasets of humans interacting with diverse objects in diverse ways, which are expensive to capture. FunHSI's training-free approach leverages pre-trained vision language models instead, using a novel human in-painting optimization and contact graph refinement scheme. The researchers validated their approach on realistic city scenes captured with smartphones, demonstrating practical applicability beyond laboratory environments. Meanwhile, the hardware hacking community continues finding creative applications for capable compute platforms. A fork of the 2025 conference badge, featuring an ESP32P4, quality display, and solder party keyboard, has been re-engineered into a Linux CyberDeck carrier board, demonstrating how event hardware can find sustained utility beyond its original purpose.